You weren't born weak, you were distracted into it. They never had to beat you, just scatter your attention across 1,000 shiny lies. Look around, everyone's busy, but no one's building power. Why? Because no one can sit still. No one can hold a single thought long enough to dominate with it. And that's exactly how they wanted it. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Control a man's focus, and you control his future. And today, you're handing out your focus like it's worthless. You scroll, you check, you react. You live in a mental circus, while the true kings are out there in silence, plotting, building, executing. Listen carefully. Focus isn't some motivational quote you print on your wall. It's a weapon. It's the psychological blade you forge in solitude, the one thing that separates the predator from the prey. The man with fractured attention is easy to manipulate. He reacts, he explains, he apologizes, but the man with ruthless focus, he becomes unpredictable, cold, unavailable, dangerous. And that's what you need to become. You've been trained to confuse activity with power, but movement isn't momentum. Busyness isn't building. Real power comes from the man who can lock in, who can kill noise, who can sit alone with a goal, a plan, and obsession. No applause, no validation, just internal fire. That's not motivational fluff, that's war preparation. You're not here to find balance, you're here to win. And that means training your brain like a weapon, refusing distraction like it's poison, because it is. Here's the truth. If you can't focus, you can't dominate. If you can't sit still with your mission while others scroll past theirs, you'll always be beneath them. Not because they're better, but because they were willing to suffer longer in silence. This is the part they don't teach. Focus hurts. It strips comfort. It isolates. It forces you to kill dopamine and sit with discipline. And that's why most people run. They don't want focus, they want the feeling of ambition without the discipline behind it. They want the title of warrior without the silence of the battlefield. But you've already tasted distraction. You've seen what it's done to your life. And if you're still listening, there's a part of you that's ready for war. Mental war. Strategic war. The kind where you don't fight people, you starve distractions. This isn't about becoming a robot. It's about becoming unavailable to weakness, unavailable to emotional games, unavailable to every voice trying to steal your throne. Ruthless focus is the art of saying no to everything soft, so you can build something unshakable. So from this moment on, everything changes. You don't owe your attention to anyone who hasn't earned it. You don't chase, you build. You don't explain, you execute. You don't react, you watch in silence. Your time is your blood, your energy is your throne. And from here forward, your focus will be a fortress, cold, impenetrable, and unstoppable. Because in a world where everyone's distracted, the focused man becomes king. If this part sparked something ruthless in you, comment below. My focus is my fortress. The silent hour, why isolation creates domination. You want to build ruthless focus? Then get comfortable being alone. Because real power never grows in crowds. It's born in silence. Every empire starts in the mind of one man, alone, obsessed, invisible. Machiavelli understood this. He watched kings surrounded by fools crumble, while the loners built power behind the curtain. You don't need more stimulation, you need subtraction. Subtract the noise, subtract the opinions, subtract the comfort. And what's left? Clarity, vision, fire. Let me say it clearly. If you can't be alone, you'll never be in control, because every moment you need someone's attention, you're already owned. This is the trap of modern life. You're surrounded by constant distraction and called insane when you disconnect. But that's the key. Insanity is the price of clarity in a world built on confusion, and only the bold pay it. You can't build ruthless focus around people who fear silence. They'll interrupt it, question it, shame it, because your silence exposes their chaos. And that's your first tactical edge. When you embrace isolation, you stop leaking energy. You stop chasing small talk. You stop explaining your ambition to people who don't deserve to hear it. And that space you create, that's where the plan forms. That's where the obsession sharpens. That's where the weak version of you dies and the dominant one begins. Think of the wolf. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't whimper for attention. It vanishes into the dark and waits, watches, sharpens. And when it returns, it doesn't ask, it takes. That's what focus does. It takes your energy out of the spotlight and plants it in the shadows until it's time to strike. You must learn to weaponize loneliness, to use it as fuel, to walk away from the crowd and say, I don't need noise to feel powerful. I generate it when I walk back in. You weren't born to be part of the herd. You were born to rise above it. But rising requires silence, because the higher you go, the thinner the air. And only those who trained in silence can breathe up there. So, here's what you do next. Schedule your silence like a meeting. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Turn off the phone, leave the room, let the world scream, and sit, not with entertainment, not with distraction. Just you, your thoughts, and your mission. At first, it will hurt. Your mind will panic, your hands will itch for stimulation, but push through, because behind that discomfort is power. Every great strategist, from Machiavelli to modern-day elite performers, understood this. Silence is not absence, it's presence, pure and unfiltered. It's where you meet your true self, strip away the lies and build a code no one can shake. And once you master that, you become untouchable. Because now, your focus isn't built on hype, it's built on solitude. It doesn't need applause, it feeds on purpose. It doesn't shatter under pressure, it thrives in it. So disappear. Not forever, just long enough to come back unstoppable. If you're done explaining yourself to the world, comment this below. My silence is strategy. The trap layer. How the world hijacks your focus without you noticing. You think you're in control of your attention. You're not. It's being hijacked every day, every hour, every second. Not by chance, but by design. And if you don't become violently aware of this, you'll lose everything you could have become. Machiavelli wouldn't survive in today's world by playing nice. He'd expose the system, weaponize it, and cut through it with precision. Because that's what the focused do. They see the traps, not just the bait. So let's expose what's stealing your mental power. The first trap? Constant alerts. You let a machine bark commands at your nervous system like you're a trained dog. Ding, vibration, flash. Every sound steals a fraction of your mind. And enough fragments over time? You're no longer a man, you're a puppet. Second trap? Low-value conversations. You think you're being social. You're not. You're leaking focus into meaningless exchanges that do nothing but sedate your drive. Talking just to talk is suicide for ambition. Third trap? Entertainment addiction. Binging shows, scrolling endlessly, falling into mental sedation. That's not relaxation, that's digital heroin. And every hit of it rots your capacity for deep thought. It erodes your edge. And worst of all, these traps don't scream, they whisper. You don't even realize you're falling until the damage is done, until you look up and realize weeks, months, years have vanished. And the fire inside you? Cold. You were trained to be a slave to stimulation, because a stimulated mind is an obedient one. It won't rebel, it won't reflect. It won't build anything dangerous, but the mind that learns to detach, to walk away from the noise, that mind becomes lethal. And here's the Machiavellian truth. Those who control your attention control your destiny. Not your government, not your enemies. Your own unconscious habits are the true dictator. And if you don't rebel against them, you stay small, you stay weak, you stay predictable. Focus is not just a skill, it's an act of rebellion. Every time you ignore a dopamine trap, you reclaim territory inside your own mind. You become harder to influence, harder to read, harder to manipulate. That's the essence of power, internal control that no one else can hack. So, how do you break these traps? You start by eliminating one point of distraction every day. Not all at once, One by one, uninstall that useless app. Block that pointless website. Limit your contact with energy-draining people. And most importantly, replace it with deep work, with silence, with vision. Every hour you win back is a psychological victory, and when you stack those victories, you become something else. Not just focused, but feared. Because now your energy isn't scattered, it's collected, concentrated, deadly. And that kind of focus, you can aim it anywhere. Business, fitness, strategy, power. And it cuts through everything. If you're done falling for the world's traps, comment below. They can't steal what I guard. The magnetic edge, how ruthless focus makes you the center of every room. You've been taught to chase attention. But the most dangerous men never chase. They attract. Not with noise, not with words, but with presence. And nothing builds presence like ruthless, undivided focus. Let's get this straight. You don't need to be loud to dominate a room. You just need to be the only one not distracted. While everyone else fidgets, scrolls, explains, you stand still, eyes locked, mind sharp. You become gravity. People feel it. They don't know why they're drawn to you, but they are. Because in a chaotic world, focus radiates power. It signals control. It signals danger. And danger is magnetic. Machiavelli knew this. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But here's the update. When you control your focus, people fear your silence and crave your attention. You become both. Let's break it down. Most people leak their energy. They react to everyone. They chase approval. They try to fill space. But the focused man controls the room without saying a word, because everyone senses. This man is here for a reason, and it's not small talk. Your attention becomes a reward. Your presence becomes rare. And what's rare gets valued. The ones who fumble for words, who over-explain, who seek constant engagement, they're forgettable. But the one who listens carefully, speaks with precision, and holds his gaze with intention, he's unforgettable. That's what focus does. It sharpens not just your mind, but your entire aura. Your body language changes. Your voice slows, you become deliberate, and deliberate men are intimidating. People start to adjust to you. They mirror your calm. They filter their words. They think twice before speaking nonsense, because deep down, they know. You're not distracted. You're watching. And your attention isn't free. You don't just walk into a room. You enter like a strategy. Measured, observant, in control. You shift from needing validation to being the one others seek validation from. Because when you no longer seek the spotlight, you become it. That's magnetic dominance. Not forced, not fake, but earned through discipline. So here's the shift. From now on, you don't speak unless it has weight. You don't respond unless it's strategic. You don't give attention unless it serves your mission. Your silence becomes powerful. Your gaze becomes unsettling. Your presence becomes a message. And the message is simple. I'm not here to please, I'm here to win. That's what Machiavellian focus is. It's not about isolation forever. It's about showing up so locked in that people feel your discipline before you say a word. If you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, comment below. My focus is felt before I speak. The Fortress Blueprint, how to build an environment that forces you to win. You can't build ruthless focus in a weak environment. Let that burn into your mind, because your brain adapts to what surrounds it. And if you live in a world of noise, chaos, and distraction, don't be surprised when you become soft, scattered, and slow. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does at last." And the wise man builds his surroundings like a war room, on purpose, with precision, and zero tolerance for weakness. Now ask yourself, what does your current environment reward? Discipline or distraction? Growth or comfort? If your space is cluttered, your notifications endless, and your routines reactive, then your mind is under attack. You don't need more motivation, you need to build a mental fortress, one that enforces focus even when your willpower fails. Here's how you start. First, remove all visual clutter. What you see trains how you think. If your room is a mess, your brain stays messy. A clean space isn't aesthetic, it's psychological. It signals control. Second, audit your digital world. Your phone isn't just a tool, it's a leash. Every app, every tab, every ping is a tiny hand pulling you off mission. Turn it off. Delete what you don't need. Block what doesn't serve you. Make access to distraction painful. Third, control your inputs like your life depends on it, because it does. Podcasts, books, videos, even conversations. Each one either sharpens you or softens you. Curate ruthlessly. Consume only what builds your ambition, because every weak input trains a weak mind. Fourth, protect your mornings like sacred ground. What you do first sets the tone for the day. Check your phone, you've already lost. Talk to someone negative, you're compromised. Wake up and lock in. Read, plan, train, think. Own your mind before the world gets its hands on it. Fifth, build rituals that anchor you, not motivation. Rituals, systems that activate your focus on autopilot. Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it's writing your top 3 targets before touching your phone. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. That's how men become machines. You see, discipline isn't just inside you, it's built around you. If your space, tech, and habits are designed for war, then even on your worst days, you move like a killer. Now let's go deeper. You don't live alone in the forest. People are part of your environment too. And the wrong people, friends, lovers, co-workers, will sabotage your focus if you let them. Energy drainers, attention seekers, drama addicts. You don't need to confront them, you just need to reduce their access. Distance is power. Your mind is a castle, and not everyone gets to walk in. So here's the strategy. Restructure your world so success becomes default, not fantasy. Make it hard to fail, make distraction inconvenient, make focus effortless. Because when your environment supports your ambition, your energy doesn't leak. You stop negotiating with yourself, you start executing, without noise, without delay. That's how warriors live. Not by motivation, but by architecture. And when the world tries to pull you back, your fortress holds. Because you didn't build it on hype, you built it on cold, calculated discipline. If you're ready to turn your world into a weapon, comment below, "My mind lives in a fortress." The obsession code. How to lock into one goal and break reality with it. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, so intensely, the world bends around it. And that level of intensity, that doesn't come from interest, it comes from obsession. Let's be clear, interest fades, motivation fades, but obsession? That burns when you're tired, it grows in silence, and it makes your goals feel like oxygen. Without it, you choke. Machiavelli understood obsession before modern psychology had words for it. He knew that those who changed history weren't balanced. They were locked in, not distracted by 10 different ambitions, one target, one strategy, no exit. You've been fed a lie. Don't be too obsessed. Why? Because obsessed people are hard to control. They're dangerous. They don't seek approval. They don't drift. They move through the world like a weapon with a target. Here's the truth they won't tell you. Obsession is how giants are built. Focus turns to power when it becomes personal. When the mission cuts so deep into your soul that quitting feels like self-betrayal. So, how do you weaponize it? Step 1. Kill the plan B. Obsession doesn't tolerate alternatives. Burn the escape routes. Make your target the only option. Comfort is the enemy of obsession. Obsession feeds on pressure. Step 2. Create brutal clarity. Vague goals don't ignite obsession. Define exactly what you want. Numbers, time, deadline. Your brain can't lock in on fog. It locks in on specifics. Step 3. Obsess in silence. Tell no one. Don't leak your plan. Don't explain your hunger. Let your work echo through results. Obsession grows strongest when it isn't fed by applause. Step 4. Rewire pain as progress. Most people quit when it gets hard. But obsession converts pain into signal. Every setback becomes fuel. Every failure becomes feedback. Obsession doesn't retreat, it adapts. You want to reshape your life? Then stop dating your goals like casual flings. Marry them, commit with force, and let the world adjust to the new version of you. Understand this: when you're obsessed, time changes. You stop waiting, you start building. You stop talking, you start executing. You become so fixated that people either fear you or follow you. That's not burnout, that's focus evolved. And the best part? Obsession doesn't need motivation. It runs on identity. It becomes who you are, not what you do. And when that switch flips, everything around you changes. Distractions lose their flavor. Entertainment feels like poison. Mediocre people fade from your life not because you hate them, but because they can't breathe in the altitude you're climbing to. So here's your new code. Pick your target. Strip your life down to it, not for show, but for war. Because when you become obsessed, you stop hoping and start bending reality to your will. If you're ready to cross the line into obsession, comment this below. I don't chase goals, I become them. The execution engine, how to move without emotion and dominate with discipline. Here's the brutal truth. Your feelings don't care about your goals, and your goals don't care about your feelings. If you wait to feel like it, you'll never build anything that lasts. Because the world isn't moved by emotions, it's moved by execution. You want ruthless focus? Kill emotional dependency. Start acting from command, not mood. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew a ruler who lets emotion dictate action is a slave in a crown. A man ruled by feelings is predictable, and predictable men are easily manipulated. But the man who can feel fear and still move, feel tired and still execute, feel doubt and still attack, that man is terrifying because he no longer needs permission from his emotions. He acts on principle, on code, on calculated force. That's what you must become. An execution engine. Let's build it. Step 1. Create a decision protocol. Most people wait to feel right before they move. You don't. You make decisions based on mission. You ask, does this move the goal forward? If yes, you execute. No delays, no negotiation. Step 2. Detach from outcome. You've been trained to judge everything emotionally. Did it feel good? Did I win today? Wrong lens. Success is built through volume, not validation. Not every day feels powerful, but every execution compounds into something powerful. Step 3. Ruthless scheduling. Structure is your ally. Build routines so solid they survive emotional sabotage. When discipline is embedded into your day, your emotions can scream and you'll still move. Step 4. Embrace discomfort as fuel. Most people see pain as a stop sign. You see it as proof. Proof that you're in the territory most men avoid. Discomfort isn't a weakness, it's the signal you're near growth. And focused men rewire that pain into drive. Now listen carefully. The greatest performers in history didn't win because they were inspired. They won because they were consistent. They did the work when it was boring, brutal, and thankless. While everyone else was chasing a feeling, they were building results. That's the weapon you're forging now. You stop waiting, you stop whining, you stop breaking under stress, you execute like a machine with a mission, and over time, something shifts. You realize that emotions are just noise, signals, not commands. You can feel them, but they don't get a vote. You don't need to be emotionless. You need to be immune to emotional weakness. You acknowledge the feeling, but follow the focus. And that discipline? That's what makes you rare. Because 99% of people still pause when they feel resistance. You don't. You press harder. That's how killers move. Not recklessly, not reactively, but with ruthless consistency. Calculated, cold, unstoppable. If you're ready to destroy emotional hesitation, comment this below. I move with mission, not mood. The Mind Reboot. How to rewrite your identity into a ruthless builder. Focus isn't just about controlling time. It's about controlling who you are. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your identity. And if you're me is weak, scattered, soft. Your actions will follow, no matter how hard you try to push. So now we go deep, not into hacks, not into tactics, but into the core operating system, your identity. Machiavelli didn't just study power, he studied identity. He knew the prince who didn't believe in his right to rule would always act like a puppet. And the man who sees himself as a king, even before the crown, will move like one until it becomes reality. Your mind is no different. If you still identify as average, if you still talk like a victim, if you still wait for permission, then you'll never sustain focus, because focus comes from alignment. Who you think you are must match what you demand from yourself. So how do you rewrite your identity? Step 1. Audit your self-talk. What do you say when no one's listening? I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not built like that. Those aren't just words, they're blueprints. They instruct your brain who to become. Start rewriting them now. Not with delusion, but with cold, actionable truth. I finish what I start. I don't delay. I dominate. I move like someone who earns power. Step 2. Build a new standard and enforce it daily. Stop waiting to feel like a new man. Act like one, even if it feels fake at first. Discipline doesn't care about feelings. Repetition rewires identity. Step 3. Create a non-negotiable list. These are your rules, your code. Write down 3 things you do no matter what. No excuses, no debate. You stick to them even when you're tired, distracted, or alone, because that's what rewires the mind. Step 4. Kill the old version. Yes, kill him. The one who waited, the one who made excuses, the one who broke promises to himself. Write down what he did, how he thought, what he accepted. Then burn it. You don't evolve by dragging him with you. You become untouchable by burying him. Every decision you make now either feeds the old version or builds the new one. Choose. You don't need to feel confident. You need to act like the version of you that no longer tolerates mediocrity. Because the fastest way to become him is to stop negotiating with anything that doesn't serve him. Think like a builder. Act like a weapon. Move like someone who has no backup plan, just forward. When your identity is aligned with your goals, focus becomes natural. You don't have to force yourself to stay disciplined. You are disciplined. You don't try to work hard. You are the man who works like a machine. This isn't motivational fluff, it's war logic, because every moment you act like the man you're becoming, you kill the one who held you back. That's how you reboot your mind. If you're done being who they trained you to be, comment below. The old me is dead. The builder is born. The boredom switch. How to turn repetition into ruthless power. Everyone wants results, but no one wants repetition. They want success, but only if it feels exciting. Only if it comes with dopamine. Only if they're entertained along the way. That's why they lose. You want to rule your world? You need to kill the addiction to novelty. Because greatness isn't forged in motivation, it's forged in boredom. And Machiavelli would have said the same. Routine is the soil of power, because in the land of chaos, the man who thrives in monotony becomes unstoppable. Let's be clear. The enemy isn't failure, it's inconsistency, and the enemy of consistency is your craving for stimulation. Here's the truth they don't want to hear. The work that changes your life is boring. It's doing the same thing over and over again with insane intensity, even when it's not fun. Even when no one's clapping. Even when it feels like nothing's happening. You want results? Fall in love with the grind that no one sees. Train your nervous system to get high on progress, not variety. Because the man who can endure boredom becomes a master. He lifts when it's cold. He writes when he's tired. He reads while others scroll. He builds while others seek pleasure. And over time, he creates a gap so wide no one can catch him. Because while they were chasing sparks, he built a fire that never dies. Let's break this down tactically. Step 1. Schedule the repetition. Don't leave it to chance. Write it, time it, lock it. The mind respects what is measured. Make your day repeatable, like clockwork, because chaos kills momentum. Step 2. Reframe the boredom. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every rep, every routine, every repetition is stacking proof. Proof that you can outlast, outwork, and outperform. Step 3. Gamify your process. Track the streaks, measure the hours. Reward the volume, not the outcome. Why? Because if you fall in love with the process, success becomes a side effect. Step 4. Cut dopamine leaks. Too much stimulation elsewhere will make focus feel like suffering. Reduce sugar. Silence social media. Kill the mental junk food. You're not just building discipline, you're rewiring the brain to crave clarity, not chaos. You don't need to feel inspired. You need to move like someone who doesn't wait for permission. Because success belongs to the man who can repeat greatness without applause. Every king of execution, athletes, thinkers, strategists, they all mastered the same thing. They learned to make monotony their home. And once you do that, focus becomes second nature. Your mind stops fighting you. Your actions become automated. And results compound without resistance. So hear this and brand it on your soul. The boring path is the winning path. The unsexy grind is the throne. The repetition no one wants is the discipline no one can match. If you're done needing excitement to stay committed, comment below. I win through repetition. I move through boredom. The final lock-in, becoming the focused monster they can't distract or destroy. This is where it ends, or begins, depending on who you choose to become after this. Because now you know the truth. Focus isn't a tactic, it's transformation. And ruthless focus? It's not about getting more done. It's about becoming someone they can't touch, can't tempt, can't shake. You've learned to kill distractions. You've turned isolation into power. You've rewritten your identity. You've trained through silence, repetition, and cold execution. And now you forge the final piece, unbreakability. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interest." Translation? You owe no loyalty to weakness, not even your own. So from here on out, you operate like a monster. Calm, cold, calculated. Not emotionless, but untouchable. Not loud, but undeniable. You don't need to announce your focus. People will feel it. They'll see it in how you move, in what you no longer tolerate, in the silence you walk in, and the discipline you radiate. You don't get pulled into drama. You don't over-explain. You don't seek closure. You build, and you move. You've become something rare now. A man with mental sovereignty. A man who doesn't flinch when it gets hard. A man who doesn't need noise to feel powerful, because your power is internal. Your presence, intimidating. Your goals, non-negotiable. And that's the kind of focus that rules. Not just your life, but everyone around you. So what's next? You protect your mind like it's a throne. You build your world like it's war. You live every day like the prince who's already studying the battlefield, plotting, sharpening, ascending. Let others chase. Let them burn hours in chaos. Let them mock your silence, your strictness, your obsession. Because eventually, they'll watch you win, and they'll wonder how, and you'll say, nothing. Because kings don't explain, they embody. So lock it in. The version of you that was distracted, emotional, and aimless is gone, buried. This is the rebirth. You're not just a man with goals. You're the kind of man who becomes them. And once you taste this level of clarity, of control, of cold purpose, you never go back. If this video marked the rebirth of your mind, comment this below. My mind is a weapon, and I've just loaded it. Subscribe to Psy Theory, and turn on notifications.